I'm Mort Cooper, your host on Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. In studio with me is my co-host, Dr. John Curtis, who has named the subtitle of the program. What is it, John?
This is Miracles Do Happen. And what's amazing is I understand that the current view of the medical profession about the treatment and cure of SD is that it's in fact incurable.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is that we have two guests here, and you're going to introduce them, both of whom have been diagnosed by respective medical centers as having SD. And their voices are dramatically improved and on their way.
Yeah, I'll play the earlier tapes of their voice. You met each other in my lobby 4 weeks ago.
No, we did.
I want you to tell me, talk with...
I remember meeting Tim and thinking, oh my God, that must be how I sound. Oh, are we pathetic?
And I remember thinking, you know, I've never met anybody who sounds like me. And it was very interesting, and it's been something that has been helpful as we worked with you, worked with us to have each other.
We had a good laugh that first day when we heard each other. We just were howling.
SD patients don't know there are others around with SD. They don't meet them. Let me play the tape of Nancy to begin with.
It seems like...
This is your voice.
When I'm on the phone, it seems like...
Sounds like a strangled voice.
When I talk, my voice goes...
Do you hear it?
When I talk, my voice goes...
What does it sound like to you?
Like an 80-year-old woman who's having a bad day.
Now, I knew where your voice was in the first few seconds.
I talk, it gets...
This is the old voice. I asked you to hum the first bar of Happy Birthday. Can you hum that hum? Just point where it is.
I feel a sensation in my mouth and my nose area.
Yeah. I knew that your prognosis was excellent if you listened to me and changed your voice from the lower throat, where all SD is, to your face. This is so simple. And so I had you do that humming in a room after I took the interview. And with a young man here, the minister, I call all of you young. At my age, I was young just yesteryear, and it's amazing how I grew older overnight. This is Tim Kidwell.
On Botox because I found them to be ineffective.
That is the voice that you came in with.
3 separate ear, nose, and throat doctors told me I had this.
Now, you were talking with that voice, and she was talking with her strangled voice in the lobby. What did you make of each other?
I was relieved to meet someone that I didn't have to explain myself to.
Could you understand each other?
I could understand him partly because I can read lips.
Well, and I could understand her because some of the problems she had with pronunciation, the same things I had, that I said, oh yeah, I know what you're saying, nobody else will.
You had trouble, you feared certain sounds, words, vowels, you told me? I love your I told you don't worry about that, we'll take care of that.
That's correct.
Nancy, you had certain fears of sounds, or what else did you fear?
I don't remember exactly. I just know that the vowels were harder to pronounce.
Are the vowels harder to pronounce now when you have your voice up in your face?
When it's in my face and when I'm talking calmly and relaxed, it's much better. I can get through all the sounds.
You sound perfectly normal. John, what do you make of it?
Well, the medical field, as we've said, is just flat out saying that there are no cures for this condition, that your condition is hopeless and that you're doomed to Botox treatments, which they claim are the state of the art. Which interesting. I spoke with the president of the ex-president of the National Spasmodic Dysphonia Association. I asked him whether he endorsed Botox treatments as opposed to other treatments for SD, and he told me that they make no claims or advocate no one treatment over any other treatment. And one day later, I saw an article that he was quoted in as saying that Botox is the treatment. It basically is the cat's meow, he said, and is a godsend for treating patients with spasmodic dysphonia, and yet told me flat out to my, directly when I was interviewing him that they don't make any endorsements. Now, the interesting part about that is that the National Spasmodic Dysphonia Association is a 501c3. This is a nonprofit organization that's supposed to disseminate the latest information about the state-of-the-art treatments and issues related to that field, spasmodic dysphonia. And what became clear talking to him is that he was basically an advocate for Botox treatments. And yet the Botox treatments, I know Tim had some experience with that, direct experience. Does he want to talk about his direct experience?
No. What happened? You took 4 Botox shots.
Correct. The first one, I had about a month of side effects, in which I was anywhere from losing my voice completely to having the choking when I swallow, to sounding like Mickey Mouse. There was a time I went through that. And then there was some relief for a couple of months.
It's a roller coaster ride.
Oh, absolutely.
You go in and out, up and down, and all around.
Plus went into your stomach.
Oh yeah, with the last time I went in, which was the 4th injection, the doctor missed twice, and the Botox ran into my stomach.
But they say, John, in the NSDA video that the needle is precise as to where they give the dosage. Did they change the dosage each time for you?
Well, if I wanted him to, he would.
How would you know what the dosage should be?
I wouldn't, but he would ask me, "What do you think? More or less?"
Well, who's running the show?
Well, that's what I thought.
When you came in to me, I told you what I wanted you to do.
That's correct.
This is your voice, isn't it? If I can.
Just imagine how frustrated. I've been there. I've been stuck. I've had to dig. I've had to jack up and set it down and jack it up and put stuff under it.
Is that a strangled voice?
That's definitely strangled. That was me preaching a lesson 2 months ago.
You've been preaching since you've been here.
That's correct.
Is your voice changing for the better?
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. My family is here with me, and they've continually commented on how glad they are for me. And
So you can change your voice by what I'm doing, but the medical field says it's impossible. You have a dystonia once you're diagnosed with SD, and all you can do is either live with it or have Botox or have surgery, and none of them report the surgical procedure or the Botox report a single cure. You call the New York Times, and you spoke with Bill Keller, who is the new editor of the New York Times. I've corresponded with Howell Raines, the former editor of the New York Times, and Joseph Lelyveld, and I contacted Jane E. Brody, who wrote the original article in 1992, saying that there are no cures of spasmodic dysphonia, that Botox or surgery is the treatment of choice. The surgery that she suggested has ended in the dustbin of history.
You're talking about DDoS surgery? And we know some patients that have had that surgery too. What's interesting about the Botox, as Tim was describing, is that the maker of Botox, Allergan, claims that the product is 99% effective. Now, what's interesting about that is that we always question effective at doing what? We know that it creates paralysis, but do we know that it recreates a normal and natural speaking voice? The expectation, I think, that you had when you went in for medical treatment for your spasmodic dysphonia is that because you were diagnosed with a medical condition, you thought that there was a medical solution for it. And that was not a distortion on your part, Tim. That wasn't some wild expectation. That wasn't pie in the sky. That was very reasonable. What were you supposed to, what did you expect? You expected that if I go in with this set of symptoms, which was a strangled voice, and if I submit and they put you prostrate on the table, and put a needle into your neck, which they say, by the way, is like just a little minor bee sting.
Was it a bee sting?
You don't want to see the bee that stung me if it was a bee. It hurt.
Big bee.
How traumatic was it?
They would even offer medication to calm you because they knew that it was something that could cause a person to be very, very upset. It took everything I could muster to stay calm under the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily, when you submitted to this, you did this, didn't you, Tim, with the expectation that you had a medical condition with a medical solution? Am I right about that?
That's absolutely correct.
Isn't that true that that's really the expectation of every patient that has undergone a Botox shot, is that they were diagnosed with a medical condition and they thought there was a medical solution to it. So they submitted themselves to what is, by anyone's standard, a fairly gruesome treatment, having you lie out on a table, having somebody stand over you and put a needle into your neck with the expectation it's going to be landing in the right spot in your vocal cords and be able to help this.
With the right dosage.
The right dosage.
But they don't know. It's experimental.
So I think that when Tim went into this, he had reasonable expectations that his voice would be helped. He didn't know that when they're talking about the efficacy of Botox, they're talking about its ability to paralyze acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter in the muscle itself that causes muscle contraction. You didn't know that that's what they mean by Botox is 99% effective, did you? That it could cause essentially your muscle to become necrotic or dead for a window of time, and it then eventually regains its normal muscle activity. But that wasn't your expectation, was it?
No.
How much did they charge for the Botox shot?
My shots were $800.
The charge for Botox for SD folks is about $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a Botox shot. It's given 4 to 10 times or more each and every year for life
Tim actually got a bargain.
by a small cadre.
Tim had a bargain, but why is it that when there's a Botox party in L.A., and they have this all over the newspapers, Botox party, come down to this place and we'll inject you for $150 with a vial of Botox or $75. Why is it in your field when a patient goes to get a Botox shot, suddenly the botulinum toxin type A is costing upwards to $2,000? Why is that?
No, or $3,000. It's not the Botox that's causing that, John. The Botox is very minimal in cost, whether you do it for the eyes or for the vocal cords. It's the skill. It's the skill of the ear, nose, and throat
Well, wait
doctor.
a second. You just said that the skill, and Tim has just verified that his own doctor asked him, once the needle was in his neck, is this enough Botox?
They're saying that is the difference. It is not the cost of the Botox. That's where you're remiss.
That's why he got a deal. The guy didn't know what he was
My
doing.
wife reminded me just this past week that the medication itself only cost $30.
Yeah,
The rest of
that's
it
right.
was
The same as at UCLA and elsewhere. So the answer to you is the skill of the practitioner, and they're saying their skill is worth $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 for a few minutes of an injection. It's given by a small cadre.
Well, wouldn't you tend to agree with them if he did get a natural speaking voice? But why is it that patient after patient has been in the same chair that you're in, have reported almost exactly the same thing that you have, namely that they lost their voice completely after getting the Botox shot, and when they got it back...
Or they have a roller coaster.
Yeah, when they got it back a month later, they said there was some window in which they thought that they were getting some kind of a voice back, but compared... Do you follow this? That we induce you to have no voice at all, then you get some resemblance or modicum of a voice back, and the patient's experience is, oh my God, thank God, I'm getting something back. And then they report to him, Dr. Cooper, well, I think the Botox shot helped on some level.
Well,
you feel like you have no choice because of the fact that you're told you can have a little relief or you can continue to live as you're living. Which do you choose?
For me,
they don't
I
give you any
chose-
choice. They don't give you real
No, that
choice.
was his choice.
For me, I chose nothing
It was
because
like-
I thought for sure down the road it would cause something worse than spasmodic dysfunction.